So part two of the multi-camera setup and use will cover the basic importation of shots into the camera sequencer and the basic use of the camera sequencer. So we have two cameras in the scene. We have camera one that we created last video, and we have camera two. Okay, so I want to be able to switch between these. In Maya, there's really no other way to do this than through the camera sequencer. So we're going to go to Windows, Animation Editor, Camera Sequencer. I have no cameras selected here. So this is kind of your standard nonlinear editor. You're going to create shots in the basic way this operates is you're going to create shots that you can then rearrange and manipulate. So let's start by creating the shots. Again, I'm going to show you very basic usage of the camera sequencer. There's a lot of additional functions, some of which we'll get to in the next video. So the simple thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create two shots for each of the cameras. So I'm going to go to Create, Shot, and then the options. So Create, Shot, and then the options. And I'm going to name, so this will be Shot 1. And I'm going to call this Long Shot, and I'm going to call this Move. That way I know this is Shot 1, this is the long shot, and this is my the fact that it's animating or moving. I've already done part of this, so shot camera here, I can choose whichever camera I want at this point to make this shot. So I know I want my camera 1, so I'll choose that. And I want to do note my start and my end time for the shot. So this shot starts on frame 1 and it goes to frame 81. And I want to put it at the current frame. I can choose a couple of other choices here on the drop down. After I place my initial shot, I'll do either after current shot or the end of the sequence. And that places it, or I can place it manually, dragging it around the timeline. But I'm going to do current because it's the first. If I want to choose an image here, I can. It just puts a little icon there. You want to make sure that you have no spaces or special characters in your name up here. And then we're going to create the shot. So this is what the first shot sequence looks like. You can see that you can see it, you can play it down here. It's got its own little separate play button down here, and you can see it just play the sequence. Play the shot. So I want to add another, my second shot to the sequence, and then we'll talk a little bit about this. I'm going to go create shot options. I'm going to call this shot 2. Close shot. All right, go back here. Why can I not go back? Medium shot. And this is static. Static. For this, my camera is going to be camera 2. And I don't want to start on frame 1, otherwise I'll be back here. But I'm going to go from frame 82 to 150. So one thing that's useful is to denote before you come into this camera sequencer, what the shots, what your expected shot start and end times are. These are editable, but it's better to put them together here to note them and then start from a good base. So the new shot placement, I'm going to put at the end of the sequence. So if there were more than the one shot, it would place it at the end of all of them. And then I'll just create shots. So now I have both shots for my scene and they play back. In the simplest way, I can then go and create a Playblast of the entire sequence. So this is asking me for a placement directory. So I'll just put this on the desktop. It's going to ask me for a name. I'll call this animating camera. It will ask me again for a format, whether I want to make an AVI movie or a sequence of images. What I normally do is I'll make an AVI that I do not encode. Once I make this AVI, I'll bring this into Media Encoder and then create an output that I want. Quality should be 100, and then you can give it a width and a height. So, for instance, it could be 1920 by 1080 is your typical high def. So then we'll Playblast the sequence. And that will create a Playblast at this location using that file name. So and there we are. It creates that Playblast. So that's the simplest way to create a multi-shot sequence using a multi-camera setup for your shot sequence. What I'll do in this last video is I'll go over some of the more advanced features of the camera sequencer, trimming and changing timing and things like that.